Hey, what's up, studs? Ryan here. We're MandRproductions with my comparison of two Lego buildable characters in the form of Yoda and the child, aka Baby Yoda. It's just a comparison that made sense. Now, I won't be going through my normal spiel of things in this comparison. It's just going to be a side-by-side and show you what's up with these two things, but I thought it would still be fun to do anyway. So the set on the left is an episode 3 based Yoda. I know it is kind of surprising, but he's got the lightsaber in the background is Palpatine's office. And obviously the set on the right is based off season 1 of The Mandalorian. Yoda was given set 75255, the official name just Yoda, with 1,771 pieces, and it retailed for $100 in the United States. Now on the other side of things, we have the child set 75318 with 1,073 pieces, so you get about a 700 piece difference there. And the price tag on this one is $80. So you can see a $20 price difference for a 700 piece price difference, and this may be one of the places where I will concede and say it's a little ridiculous that it's only $20 more for the Yoda. You're definitely getting a way better deal with the Yoda versus the child, but I still don't think that means the child's not worth the $80. And that's basically because I think it's fair for Lego to upcharge for what is popular, basically, in this case. They made something and they should be able to cash out on it, basically, and I know that kind of sucks if you're the consumer, but still, like, I still think this is worth $80, and this is more than worth the $100. In case you're interested, this is how the back of the boxes looked for the two sets. They both show off all the features of the Yoda and the child, as well as the display stand, which we're going to take a look at right now. The stands are, unsurprisingly, very similar with these two sets. However, there was one small change made. Well, two small changes, I guess. One to accommodate the figure, the child there, so it's just the one stud there versus the two that Yoda stands on. But the bigger change to me, and more important one, is one that you're not even really going to use, but it's just nice if you ever want to do this, if you want to move the little stand down for any reason or just kind of change the angle or whatever. It's on a much smoother connection versus the Yoda one. And the other problem with this Yoda one is you have to hold it down. If you don't hold it down and you do this, you can rip the whole thing off, and it does weird things. See how it comes off like that? So you can see how that's a bit of a problem, even though it's not like an intended feature that you would be screwing around with that. It's just a small quality of life improvement that they made on the newer ones. So you do get the Yoda minifigure there. You've probably had a Yoda minifigure before. However, this, at least as of release, is the cheapest way to get the child figure. So there you go. If you wanted the child figure that's in this set, you can read the plaque there. Homeworld unknown, species unknown, and you're going to get the same thing from Yoda there. Homeworld and species both unknown. The height is going to differ. The age is going to be on the child and on Yoda. Yoda's difference is that he has an affiliation and notable apprentices, while the child has favorite toy and primary associate with the Mandalorian there. So a little difference there on the stand, but nothing huge, obviously. So nice to have stands for these type of UCS style sets, even though Lego doesn't brand them as such. And so here are the two, the child on the right and Yoda on the left, and you can see there is a considerable size difference between the two. I mean, Yoda just towers above Baby Yoda there, and that makes sense. Obviously, the child should be smaller because he is smaller in universe. Now, obviously, it's not going to be anywhere to scale, I think. Like, you're not getting a perfect one-to-one. Like, if Yoda was next to Baby Yoda in Star Wars, that's exactly how it would look, but I don't think that really matters. Now, the most obvious difference, I think, when you just look at them, other than the size side by side, is the color of their clothing. The child has the darker tan color, while the regular Yoda has the lighter tan with a bit of brown worked in between. And so you can see how they kind of separate the clothing like that. While with the Baby Yoda, instead of using a lighter color for this, because the Baby Yoda has like some difference in the clothing, it's not just one like slate of dark tan, they actually use tiling to make it kind of separate versus the different colors on the other Yoda. So I thought that was just a difference in style for the two that I thought was interesting and unique. As far as accessories go, the Yoda has a lightsaber, which is rather tall. It towers above even Yoda, and it's a nice lightsaber. It's actually really well built for being a lightsaber that's mostly hidden. Like, it's actually pretty accurate. And then with Baby Yoda, you have the Razor Crest shifter knob, which is basically the globe piece, I believe, within one of his hands. And that's nice to have, although I think most people will think the lightsaber is cooler, and I kind of wish with the Baby Yoda they had gone with the cup of soup or whatever it was he was sipping. Flipping them around back, you can see the difference in the back of the robes. You can see like the back open hood of Yoda there and the back area of Baby Yoda here. It's not much different, like very similar stylistically. Both sets are built with a Technic inside. structure skeleton, and then you have the tiling or plating on the outside, very similar as far as build style goes. Now, one thing you may notice as I'm moving the Yoda around, he's not quite perfectly stable, and that's just because of the way the feet are. They use the inverted tiles and whatnot on the feet there. It's just not like the perfect, most stable thing. There's also a hole there. You can see that Technic structure, which again, like I said, is very similar on the newer Yoda, but he's not the most stable thing ever, right? He's just got a little bit of a wobble to him. The newer Yoda is, however, perfectly stable because it's a flat base like that. So a very different style as far as like how the characters sit. And that makes sense because you don't see the child's feet, you do see Yoda's feet. So of course you should be able to see them represented in the character there. But it is just something where, while you'll probably never really have an issue with it, you do get a little bit of wobble on the Yoda. And just because it just fell out of his hand, here's a much better look at that lightsaber. Now, I think where the biggest difference between the two sets is in the faces, the expressions you can get with each Yoda character here. And I think the shaping of the Yoda's face is a lot better. I think the child has a little bit of a flat kind of football look to his head, which is fine. I just kind of wish it was a plate or two taller, if that makes sense. I just feel like that would have been a better shape. But that aside, not the most important thing. As far as the expressions go, you have Yoda, who has like this walrus look to his mouth. He's got a weird nose, and then the eyes, and like the eye sockets are just really rough because you have this really large open area, which is fine. It makes sense as far as like why they did it, because they wanted to give it a very unique look, and they certainly did. Very realistic-ish look. And you can get some expressionism out of his eyes by moving like the top eyelids. So you can make him look really sad and depressed, or you can make him look kind of angry or like ready to fight someone. So that's kind of the expressions you get out of the regular Yoda there, and that's fine. Like, he just doesn't have a mouth or anything. The head can move and bob a little bit, but that's really all you're going to get out of it. There's not much going on there, unfortunately. You can't even turn it all the way around, and if you didn't notice earlier, he does have some white hair on the back, so that's nice and accurate. The ears don't move either. Now, the child, on the other hand, will give you a much better look because you don't have those like open, deep eye sockets. They're actually pretty well closed off there, so you can't really see deep into the build. Doesn't look awkward in that way. And then on top of that, they're actually printed. You have the brown eyes printed there on inverted tiles. It's kind of hard to see, but it is there, and it's a really nice little touch. Then you have the ears, which can move up and down. So down for kind of sad. You can close his mouth. You can open his mouth if you want to look happy and put his ears up and make him look like really spry and ready to go for the day, whatever. And then on top of that, I think like the way his head can kind of bob side to side gives you a little bit more life to him. Of course, front, back, up and down a little bit. Like, this character has a lot more movement in the head, and of course you can turn it. The Yoda can turn, but not quite to the degree of the Baby Yoda. And maybe that's a bad thing. You don't want your Baby Yoda to turn his head all the way around. It still gives you much more posability than you get with the regular Yoda, and I think ultimately that's a good thing. Now, the mouth can open maybe beyond reason at some points, but that's not that important. Like, you just leave it closed as far as you should. Other small improvements include that nose. I think the nose on the Yoda looked really weird. And then that mouth area. The mouth area on the Yoda just looked so awkward. This one really kind of cleans it up in a way that I think makes sense. So ultimately, this Baby Yoda, or the child, comes out just as the better model in quite a few ways to me, even though I like them both. I don't think either of them are a bad model, but you may have your preference. You can definitely leave that in the comments below. Another perhaps underrated feature of these characters, just kind of in the middle here, is that the hands can move. So Yoda's, or Baby Yoda's hands can move. The arms don't move or anything, but the hands move, and that's really nice. You can spin them all around. Even with the knob in hand, you can have it flipped upside down. So the child's hands move. They have quite a bit of posability. As far as Yoda goes, really only his fingers move. The hands don't actually move because they're connected in, I believe, on like 2 joints on each of them. So the fingers can move and whatnot, but that's not really going to give you much. You're really just going to want to keep those wrapped around the lightsaber there. So nice features there for the hands, I guess. At the end of the day, I find it tough to recommend one over the other, though, because I think the Yoda's an excellent value for $100. He's a classic, tried and true character. He does have a bit of a creepier look at times and weirder, but it's a really elegant build. You, of course, get the display stand, but you also see that with the child. And then the child's build, just as nice as far as like the robing goes. Like, the clothing has a nice flow to it on both characters. And then the child's face, I think, is just way cuter, right? The child's face, and the face is really what you're drawn to look at on either of these characters. The face on the Baby Yoda or the child is just so much better in a lot of ways than the regular Yoda character. So I just wanted to do this video to show you them side by side. You can hopefully make a decision based on what you saw in this video, but they are both really good. I don't think you go wrong with with either, but I think obviously the child being the more popular, more recent character might be the one that sells more Lego sets, but it's also a really cheap or relatively cheap way to get the child minifigure, while you can get Yoda in all sorts of sets over the years. So things like that may factor into your decision. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this quick little side-by-side comparison, leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.